I want to summarize the whole 20-minute talk right now with the greatest of ease. This is a call to invite people to make videos. Almost everybody has a cell phone or access to somebody who does have a cell phone. And this is in response to something that happened on Friday morning. The WHO have decided to do a different type of public comment session in regards to what's going on with their negotiations for the pandemic treaty. And so I would like to summarize my entire talk with, I'm asking everyone here to make a or multiple videos expressing their opinions, whatever those opinions may be. And I'm going to give everyone here my phone number. It's 310-619-3055. I'm in the United States, so it's +1. And you can call me, you can text me, you can use Signal or Telegram or WhatsApp. There's a lot of information, and I realize that the best thing to do is look over the information I'm about to give you. And we're trying to help facilitate everyone getting up to speed about what is being asked, okay? And so I'm going to move on to the next page. This is an article that I published just on Friday, and it should be self-explanatory. You can get here, you should be able to remember stopthewho.com, and we'll talk just a little bit about what it is that I think we should be talking about stopping. I'm having a little tiny case of deja vu because about 5 months ago, I got to present information to the World Council for Health, and it was similar in that in April, they had a public comment period, again, for comments about their pandemic treaty. And we worked together, we all collaborated, the World Council for Health and everyone there put out a marketing campaign, I guess, an awareness campaign, and millions upon millions of people became aware of the pandemic treaty, but also what was going on at the same time. And again, it's the same thing. There are two parallel tracks, and I'd like to try to get people to make sure they keep them clear. The World Health Organization is attempting to change international law on two tracks. One is a brand new pandemic treaty, which they don't refer to it as the pandemic treaty. They refer to it as a convention, agreement, or other international instrument, because those are words that are in Articles 19, 20, 21, and 22 of the WHO Constitution. For the most part, all the WHO does now is under Article 23 of their Constitution, which is make recommendations. And everyone seems to be hypnotized by those recommendations and think somehow that they are obligations or legally binding. What we talked about in April and May were the Biden administration's attempts to amend an existing body of legally binding international regulations. And they're at it again with that. And let me tell you, that track is very worrisome to me because it is completely hidden in secrecy. There is a bureau within the WHO. They have their own page. It's inb.who.int. And they, since December 1st, have been in charge of negotiating an international agreement. It's likely to be a convention, and meaning they're going to set some guidelines, and then every nation will have to go and write their own laws. And on this page, if you scroll down just a little bit on this page, there's a lot of information here that's important. But the one that caught my eye on Friday was the public hearings. So on the very bottom of the public hearings page, okay, scroll all the way down to the bottom, the way the WHO seems to operate is they just make a change on a page. And you're supposed to be aware that they made that change. And so what they did on Friday is they said they're going to have a public comment period that's different. And their guiding question, and I would say, in my opinion, their trick question is, based on your experience with COVID-19 pandemic, what do you believe should be addressed at the international level to better protect against future pandemics? And so that does open up the mind to, well, if we wanted to give them validity, we would say, well, this is what we want you to put in the treaty, and this is what we want you to put in the amendments. And I'll express my opinion and my attitude. And it's the same attitude that was sent to them in April. They literally admitted that the majority of the 36,000 written comments that they got in the April session said to the WHO, we don't want you to have a treaty. What they're doing now is very, very different. They said that they were going to publish those comments last time, and they never have, because the vast majority of the comments said, we don't want you to negotiate a pandemic treaty, let alone amend international regulations. And so they set a time period, and it's wonderful that the universe opened up space for me to be presenting this to you today. It's amazing and mysterious how the universe works. From Friday the 9th, this coming Friday, until Tuesday the 13th, the WHO will be accepting, according to their rules, 90-second videos in which the public around the world can present their opinions as to what the WHO should do. Now, realize that this is likely to be Geneva time. And so Tuesday on the 13th is probably 5 p.m. Geneva time is how it will probably shake out. And that's very, very early in the morning where I live. So just be aware that we're dealing with time zone differences. And what they're going to do is they're going to take, if you do the math, 120 videos, 90 seconds each, will be compiled into a 3-hour compilation video that will air on the 29th of September and the 30th of September for a total of 6 hours. Now, here's where the games begin, okay? They're going to make sure that it has the correct propriety, appropriateness, and decorum, and it will be gender balanced as well as geographically represented. I have some friends in Italy, and to the best of my knowledge, Italian is not one of the languages that is supported. And so I see this as the WHO planning a propaganda message. And my hope is that we can all work together to flood the internet, social media, and their intake of videos. Yes, by all means, make a 90-second video and send it to the WHO. If you get your video accepted by them and included in their propaganda compilation, kudos to you. We were able to have speakers speak in April, and I think they learned their lesson. I think they want to have control over the message, and that's why they're doing it this time. They don't want people showing up and speaking their mind in a truly open and transparent fashion. So moving on from what they're asking everyone to do, personal attitude for me, and one of the things that I'm working on, is leavethewho.com. So in addition to stopthewho.com, if you go to leavethewho.com, there's an active movement in the United States to get people out of the WHO. Kudos to Karen Bracken. She has a Substack, withdrawun.substack.com. And I don't know why that picture disappeared, but there it is. And my attitude is a little bit more aggressive. You can go to screwthewho.com, as far as I'm concerned, and have a very, very different attitude. And that brings me back around full circle to, I'm just here to ask people to express themselves by making a video. On preventgenocide2030.org, we have it set up where, by all means, when the WHO is ready to begin accepting their 90-second videos on Friday, by all means, send it to them. But we have every concern in the world that they're going to stifle many people's voices. And so if you are so interested, you can come to preventgenocide2030.org/act/video and submit it here. And we will also publish it here as, you can just put the link into the box right here. And we will be a repository for people's videos, because we're concerned that if all you do is send your information to the WHO, it'll go into a black hole and never be seen. And so I can talk for days about all of this information. My phone number is 310-619-3055. You can go to stopthewho.com, leavethewho.com, screwthewho.com, or preventgenocide2030.org, or withdrawun.substack.com. I certainly will be working with Shabnam and Mark and everyone else at the World Council for Health to promote. I believe you folks maybe have chosen hashtag exit the WHO. I know back in April, you guys made quite a splash in social media with hashtag stop the treaty, I believe it was. And with that, thank you for listening and thank you for having me. I appreciate it greatly.
Well, thank you very much, James. Again, very, very important work you just introduced to us, the same as you did in April and May, that helped to create this amazingly successful campaign to actually prevent the IIHRs to be amended in May, mostly due to African resistance. So we hope for a similar event now. And so please all follow the invitation by James and submit a video, not only to the WHO, but also to James. And well, if they would have asked us for a simple advice how to implement international measures, it would have just been a multidisciplinary, decentralized search for solution and early intervention treatments. That would be it. Well, the solutions are there and we're for a better way. So are there any questions, Maria, that have been posted so far?
Yeah, there are no questions but comments by our dear steering committee members. I think Shabnam and Mark have a comment.
Okay.
Thank you very much, Christoph and Maria, and hello, everybody. Thank you very much, James, for, as always, an informative and empowering presentation, and for rallying the troops in the way that you do. Of course, the Law and Activism Committee is very much committed to hashtag Stop the WHO and hashtag Exit the WHO. And so this is round 2, as James mentioned, of public participation, in inverted commas, on the WHO's pandemic treaty. What I would like to remind everyone is that the international negotiating body has managed to lobby member state delegates to agree that this pandemic treaty should be legally binding. That, of course, was without any consultation with the public or the people, the 99% of us in each of our countries. So according to us, their decision is invalid and unlawful, but they are going to proceed nonetheless. It's important to bear in mind what that means if they consider to be a pandemic treaty to be legally binding. As we've previously mentioned, measures like sanctions for not complying with the pandemic treaty are not difficult to imagine. And so for that and many other reasons, such as the WHO's history of, failures, conflicts of interest, corruption, and of course, what we've seen happen during COVID-19, and what we know they have coming up, which includes an endless stream of mRNA injections into the future, and of course, the exorbitant budgets that they take from each of our countries. It is it is critical for us to participate in this process coming up this Friday. So as James has mentioned, please work on a 90-minute script, time yourself if you must, and make your views heard. Try to submit it via the WHO's website within that time period, but also get the video up on various social media platforms so we build momentum and we build awareness. If you're able to speak in more than one language, please make other videos, make other 90-second videos, use captions and transcripts if you can, so we spread the message around the world. I do believe momentum is growing to exit the WHO and the United Nations, and there's never been a better time than now. So if you're watching this General Assembly, please be sure to share this broadcast, share the poster, spread the message, and let's stand together to exit the WHO. With that brief message, I'd like to turn over to my steering committee colleague, Dr. Mark Trozzi, for your comment.
Thanks, Shabnam. I really appreciate it and very grateful for your leadership on our Law and Activism Committee. James, thank you for your vigilance. You know, I mean, this is so devious. And if it weren't, this is multiple times now, if it weren't for you combing through the fine print that they hide on a back page of their website, they would completely get away with this stuff. And it just strikes me how devious it is. I mean, so kind of last minute-ish on a back page without any fanfare, they say, hey, next week between Friday and Tuesday, which has a weekend in the middle, which is really, I mean, even that is suspicious. And we're not going to tell you where to put the video yet. We'll tell you on Friday, and then put up a video. And here's a steering question. When you look at the question, it basically asks people to give them ammunition for them to grab more power. You know, basically, what do you want us to do next time? We'd like you to go away, maybe arrest yourselves and turn yourselves in. But in any event, and then they want to use this public input that they can then filter and they can decide what they show. And then they're going to use that as justification to tell the world that we asked for whatever they give us next. And in a binding capacity, I mean, what we've seen already, look what these people are getting ready to do now. So I just want to, you know, say to our partners, you know, wow, this is really important. Now we're kind of scrambling because they do this very last minute. They try not to give us time to respond. And I think Wednesday, the newsletter coming out from the World Council for Health is going to be very important in terms of this content. So I hope everyone can, I know we'll be working in the background, but if everyone can keep your eye out for your Wednesday newsletter, because we need to act together. We are 150 organizations in 50 countries. And if we get in the habit of kind of, they do lockstep, we'll do our lockstep. And because this thing happens on Friday. So I just wanted to kind of get behind the message a bit and thank you. And thanks everybody for what you're doing to stop this tyrannical force.
Talking about centralized power, as we could see in the monkeypox decision, Tedros actually ignored the advice. I think it was 96 of his own advisory committee not to
public health emergency of international
concern.
or
that's it.
PHEIC, yes.
That's it. So what can we expect in terms of centralization of power in terms of his influence on the decision that's going to be taken?
In a very, very brief summary, people want to look into the concept that is known as One Health. And if you could picture an umbrella covering the entire world, that's pretty much what they want to cover. They want to control every aspect of life that could even remotely be considered connected to health, not just human health, but animal health, both domestic and wild, plant health, environmental health, you know, the health of the planet. They would not be trying to negotiate a international agreement or treaty or changes to the regulations if they currently had all of the authority that they wanted. The reason why they're trying to add these international agreements and amendments is currently, I refer to Tedros Ghebreyesus as the Dictator General of the World Hypnosis Organization, because primarily they access the Article 23 in the WHO Constitution, which authorizes them to make recommendations. So what has been happening is they're making recommendations, and you got to realize that 9-6 vote was from an advisory committee. So they gave advice, and he just said, well, thank you for your advice, but talk to the hand. I'm going to do whatever I want to do anyways, because he's the dictator general. Then he gave an advisory statement, which then nations go, oh, well, since he said it, I'll say it. And then, you know, it goes down from the WHO to the nation, to the state, to the county, to the city, to the organization. I literally got an email with a package delivery notification tracking, okay, where we ordered something online and had to go pick it up at a local delivery point. And in the tracking email, it had an advisory from the WHO as to whether or not I should wear a mask when I go in and pick up the package. That's how deep their tentacles go, okay? My girlfriend knew it would set me off, so she made sure to show it to me. And I'm like, it's, you know, it's no different than if your neighbor gave you some advice. It's not law. They want it to be law, and that's why we have to be vigilant.
I mean, coming back to that point, one more question. Shabnam also mentioned it. They want to make it legally binding. So this could mean financial punishment for the countries that don't agree. When is the timing for this plan set so far? Do they want to turn it into reality?
They have stated that they want to present it at the May Assembly in 2024, both the treaty and the amendments. And I do not believe them, at least in regards to the amendments, because Precious Matsotso, who is the co-chair of the Intergovernmental Negotiating Body, has been quoted, and I've listened to her say that, oh, but I'm sure we could do it much faster. Okay, and so the big concern that I have is the same concern I had in April. There is a very secretive negotiations going on in regards to amendments to the international health regulations that could easily be show up at the May 2023 World Health Assembly. And so, you know, if anybody has ever weeded their garden, you want to dig the weed out, you know, as soon as you see it. And that's what I hope that we need to do here. We just need to say, stop. You know, we don't know who you think you are negotiating our future. You don't have our authority to do that. Just stop and go away.
Well, are there any more questions, Maria? Thank you very much for these clarifications.
You know, and I just realized your logo is very loving and has, you know, the heart in the hand, but it's also the universal signal for stop what you're doing. Okay, with love, you know, with love and compassion. Okay, but you know, talk to the hand with a heart on it. I got to get a little. Maybe we should all get little tattoos of a heart on our hand and walk around like that. But yeah, they have no authority, and there's a whole legal aspect to it. We can go into that with anyone who wants to. But now is the time to raise awareness, and once the light of day is shined upon what they're doing, it becomes obvious that people don't want them to be doing what they're doing. Shabnam?
Yeah, thank you, James. I just want to add to that WCH, World Council for Health, in our next newsletter on Wednesday will include more information and details as to how to participate actively in this campaign. Please feel free to share that newsletter across all of your networks and platforms. Be creative and ingenious in how we spread the word. We know there's massive amounts of censorship, but it's very difficult to censor their own call to action on submitting comments on this particular treaty. So make the most of it. As I said, we've got to spread the word around the world. It can't only be 47 African nations saying no to anything the WHO does. It's got to be all of us.
Let's make this big. And thank you very much, James, for directing people in the right direction. And yeah, good luck with all the events.